everybody.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Sweet. I'm gonna snag a drink real quick and get ready to go.
Yes, and let this be a reminder to everyone, drink some water.
Oh, and also, just throwing this out there, but I'd like to try sort of like a new format for specifically this one where, I'll spend a minute and answer like some like one-on-one questions with like Spicy, and then I'd like to have anyone in the community who would like to ask questions just like raise your hand, and we'll call you up onto the stage and
Okay, well, I think we've got a good crowd here. Perhaps we can go ahead and get started. Bear with me just a second. Let me kind of look through some questions I see here. Okay, so I guess the biggest question, if you're there, Fox, I don't know if you've come back yet from your fancy drinking.
I'm here.
Um, well, the biggest question is, of course, what is Crystalvale?
All right. So for those of you that weren't in the Twitter space, so for about the past 2 months or so plus, we have been actually working with a few other chains trying to figure out our expansion strategy and who would be the first chain that we would expand onto. And we spent countless hours and days on trying to figure out the exact perfect way to do this. And I'm really proud of the model that we have come up with. I think it incentivizes all the right things. So what is Crystalvale? We just announced over on a Twitter space with Avalanche that our first expansion into sort of like the multi-chain like world is onto Avalanche. And that will be taking place in Q1 of 2022. And we were very, very careful to ensure that our expansion plans won't impact our existing timeline with like any of our features in any kind of a like negative way. And that we've been adding extra resources and things onto our teams to sort of like prepare for that, especially on the creative side of things, because expanding into sort of like a new realm entails quite a bit of new art and some like lore and just all that type of stuff there that's involved with it, and that's all like sort of like on top of the existing stuff that we have to do from the standpoint of like the code basically with our game. So yeah, what is Crystal Vale? Crystal Vale is our new realm in Avalanche, and it's not live yet. It probably like won't launch until sort of like the heart of winter in Q1 of 2022. But the whole idea there is that Avalanche has kind of a snow and ice theme, and so our plan is to expand in the wintertime over onto Avalanche and try to acquire, like all of the like hundreds of thousands of users that are over there on that chain as well. So really excited about that expansion.
Awesome. So Crystalvale is going to be kind of like it's the same name as like Sarendale for our Harmony DeFi kingdoms. Will Crystalvale be a clone of Serendale?
Nope, it will not. Not by any stretch of the means of the imagination, I guess. But will it have a lot of the same features? Yes, it will. We have a very cool and very unique model here for play to earn, and we'll have a lot of those same aspects across all of our realms, where you'll have the ability to have heroes and have them do quests and earn items and do combat and have lands and all that type of stuff as well. So there's really exciting opportunities there for like the play to earn aspect of it as well that will stay pretty similar to how it is here. In terms of what's new, there will be all kinds of new like uh, stuff on the world map will be new. It'll be snow themed. You'll have all these like internal zones will be new. Have like a new bank, a new marketplace, a new portal. We'll all have sort of things over there. And from a aspect of like the lore, it's really just that like we have basically found this new land, and it is still kind of like shrouded in like the corruptedness of our world. And so what we're trying to do basically is expand sort of like the light of our existing Gaia over into these other lands, and charge up their portal and start to get that rolling, and have some new heroes with some new genes and stuff that will start to come into play, and then have those sort of like mix into the existing universe that we're creating here.
Yeah,
So like a kingdom to be uncovered.
right. Just adding on to what Fox is saying there, he mentioned how careful we've been to make sure that we're not impacting our current timeline with Harmony. And I think just pointing that out, that, we have been expanding our team. We've been working very hard on getting questing out there in our existing timeline that we want to hold to. But, as we have the order of operations of what we're doing here, we have our lore department, our creative department coming up with some really amazing things that are prerequisite to us actually building out the game. We have to know what the story is and what we're trying to actually accomplish. And once they're done with that and we're building to it, they're finding themselves having that additional time to say, okay, well, now what? Now, how do we expand out this universe that we've built? And so, we're currently coding to that with our developers solely focused on getting this stuff out into the Harmony space. And as that starts to come about, we then, we'll stick it into the storyline and the timeline for these other chains. And we say, you know what, here's the bank. What does it look like? We might need some new art. We might need some new other things. But it's still essentially, even though it's not a clone, it's still essentially the same game, right? So we're taking what we're coding here, we're porting it over, but then just adding a really good look and feel to what's there so that it can feel unique, but still not different. You can still travel. You can collaborate between different chains. You can use your hero, and like Fox said, there's new genes to be discovered, right? The heroes that you're mixing and matching today and summoning through the portal, there's new things that will be able to intermingle with what we've got today. So it's really beneficial to us to be able to say we can follow our current timeline, but then expand out on it with some of that creative side. And I personally am really excited to see what these alternative lands or dimensions are looking like. A familiar game, but slightly different. It's going to be really exciting.
Awesome. Here's a question that I just find interesting. Is Crystal just Avalanche wrapped jewel?
No, it's not. It's actually an entirely new token. It'll have a quarter of the supply of our existing jewel. Each expansion that we do will basically follow the same pattern there, where it'll basically be adding a quarter of like our existing game, where we'll have basically like 2 new classes, some new quests, and new lands and all that type of stuff. But it'll follow sort of like a smaller expansion standpoint. It's not just creating an entirely new, like suddenly there's like twice as much out there. And from the standpoint of what does that mean for like the price of jewel and all that type of stuff, obviously like we don't really speak about pricing much, but as far as utility goes, there's actually a huge increase in the amount of utility that is out there for your existing jewel and for your existing heroes as well. And I've been asked, and I've asked this also like many times over the past like month or two, like why expand onto multiple chains? Isn't that like risky? And it's true, it is risky to expand. You see all kinds of projects try and fail. However, I think that it's actually more risky to not expand, because you're basically missing out on all these opportunities to have you set up as sort of like the flagship play to earn game on these other ecosystems. Other people out there are looking at our existing game and saying, hey, like what they're doing is really smart, it's really working, I'm going to create a clone of that over on this other chain. And so if we don't expand, suddenly we'll find ourselves competing with all these other clones of our game on these other chains. And so instead of having to compete with those, we're basically expanding first and saying, hey, let's include them all into our existing ecosystem, into our existing like universe here that we're creating. So I would say it's actually a lot more risky to not expand. And also, we've been very, very thoughtful with our expansion plan and strategy to make sure that every single thing we do is increasing the like utility of our existing assets of heroes and of like jewels and all those things. Because from our standpoint, we have pretty good like war chests in our like existing coin there, like with jewels, and so we it's sort of like the very last thing that like we would ever do is hurt that basically. So we're very incentivized to make sure that we're always increasing the like utility of existing assets with each of these expansions.
Awesome. Um, will Crystalvale and Serendale share a marketplace and economy together?
Yes, in a sense of the word. It's not direct, same exact like marketplace because it's in this other land, it's on this other chain. However, we are creating in-game sort of like our own like in-game bridges, which will be over there on like our docks, where you could basically be questing over here on Serendale and be earning a lot of like silverfin or like bloaters or whatever it is, and over in Crystalvale, like they might have a great need of those because they're in the mountains, they don't have a lot of fish. So you'll have players that are basically like carrying those over these other lands across these uh, in-game bridges there, which will also be pretty cheap too because it'll be like run by us. And so you'll have this sort of in-game international, I would say, marketplace. So
It's going to be really interesting. I mean, we still have a lot to discuss about, what these items are going to be used for and the utility within the game as we expand and start talking about lands and armor and pets and all sorts of things that are coming down the road. But it's going to be really cool to, go fishing in some far off land and maybe find something that there isn't much of, as Fox mentioned. Maybe there aren't a lot of fish, but maybe there is something that's there that's unique that you can bring back to Harmony and craft something that maybe you couldn't have crafted before. And so having that economy and having those marketplaces and being able to trade and sell items in multiple chains is going to be something that I really look forward to say, you know what, I've got all this stuff. Maybe it's needed somewhere else. Maybe I've got, tons of bloaters that I'm not doing much with, but maybe they become more available down the road or more useful down the road. So we don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm really excited about that uniqueness, not only from the DNA perspective of your heroes, but just items that are going to be unique to each land.
yeah, and then as far as like the market go, it's very efficient in always trying to find the best price for things, right? So if we have this other land with an expansion that adds 25 percent of the like supply and yet adds like maybe 400 or 500 uh, of the demand there, then you'll see this increase in price over there in that realm, which will then basically carry over into all of our existing realms because there'll be a great uh, opportunity there to basically arbitrage your things and say, hey, a lot of that will flow into these other realms from the highest amount of like price, I guess, into the lowest ones, and so you'll see sort of like the price will have a equilibrium across all these realms, and it should just like raise all the ships in there with that high tide.
Nice. And I have another question here. I think we're going to try pretty soon, guys, to open up the floor for speakers. So if you do have a question and you want to hop on mic to ask that, go ahead and ask for a request to speak. And I'm not going to be able to get to everybody, but I'll do my best to kind of go through and select a few of you. One more question from me before we start doing that. And this one's about price. What if people dumped their jewel for crystal?
Yeah, so that's actually pretty counterintuitive because the only actual like way to get crystal in the short and also in the midterm is to actually stake Jewel. So holding Jewel will qualify you for some of these upcoming airdrops that we're doing to earn Crystal and to also be eligible to win some of the new Gen Zeros over in this other land, which will have some of these new like unique genes as well. So if you're trying to have that as your strategy, you're gonna have a bad time. And so like as I said earlier, everything we're doing is really trying to increase the utility of Jewel out there. That's the whole reason we're expanding is to add extra players into our game and increase the utility of our existing assets. So, yep.
Nice. We're getting some requests here. I'm gonna go through those while I'm looking at the requests for people to speak. Why should we all be excited for us branching out to other chains?
Yeah, it's really exciting from like my standpoint. As someone who had this starting out like with this basically like dream of creating a game and having this game grow and become the largest project on Harmony, and saying, hey, like we're not stopping here. This game is going to grow until it's like the largest out there in the whole space, basically. And so this is a step on our road there. Basically, like we're creating a very unique thing here that has in-game utility for these real-world assets. And I think you'll see a lot of other games that are going to start to try to have the same type of like pattern. And having us as the first mover advantage is huge. We got to maintain that that momentum. Here on the Harmony chain, you see a lot of other projects that are basically I wouldn't say clones per se, but it's the same like strategy as like existing projects from like other chains that say, hey, let's have this launch over here on Harmony too. And so you haven't really seen any projects start on Harmony and expand into other chains, right? It's always been the other direction. So we are the first real like project out there that says, hey, let's have our start here on like Harmony, where it's this amazing ecosystem for games and it's really great. And let's expand and let's bring the ethos of like Harmony into these other chains as well. So I think that's really like unique and exciting for us and for all of you guys here as well.
Yeah. For me, the excitement really comes from that additional exposure. I think what we've built here is amazing. And just getting it out into the hands of more people that can see it. And instead of just saying, well, here's a clone of our game and it's completely isolated, which really doesn't benefit what we've done, right? We don't need to do that. We don't want to do that. What we really wanted to do is take what we have and say, let's expose this to more people. And as Fox mentioned earlier, you don't have to be on the Harmony chain for that ecosystem to start to benefit people on the Harmony chain if we're doing it the way that we're doing it. So just getting that player base larger, letting people play and experience the game that we have, and increasing the utility of everything that we've got, providing new items and new experiences. So if you want to go experience these new lands, you can. If you are dedicated and loyal to Harmony and don't want to expand out, that's fine too. Everybody's going to win in this scenario. So just that exposure and more people getting to enjoy the game that we've built has been kind of the goal all along.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and start opening the floor for some speakers to come up. And I just want to say, everybody, I'm getting a lot of pings with questions. I'm trying my best to get through all of them. Let's go ahead. I see a couple of people I recognize on here. Are you guys ready, Fox, to have a speaker come up?
Yeah, please ask all the hard questions.
All right. I'm gonna start with somebody. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you can go through and pick somebody, Fox. I'm trying to get
No,
these.
I don't want to pick. Then people will say I'm playing favorites. You pick.
Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So I'll randomly pick. Hold on one second.
There's like so many that we're not gonna be able to get to everyone, unfortunately. But we'll try for probably the next 30 or so minutes to answer as many as we can.
Oh, here we go. Hi, Lobster Persona.
Hey, what's up? So if any of these were answered, feel free to skip me. But my two questions were basically one, there was a game on Binance Smart Chain called what was it called? Crypto Blades or something like that. And one of the issues that they've come into were that they gave out rewards too fast and basically destroyed their whole economy. So I was wondering if you have sort of a broad ideas on how you're going to make jobs like mining and gardening sustainable long term. And then I had a second question about the expansions. It was very interesting to me that you said that new subclasses would be introduced on the continent. I was wondering if that applies to jobs as well, and if like when a new job would get introduced on a new continent, if they would also appear back in the Central Harmony continent, and if like certain types of heroes would only be then creatable from the heroes from the new continent.
Okay, a couple questions. As far as oversupply goes, it's always a balance. You have to balance the supply with the actual like utility of those assets that you're creating. And it's also like one of those things that we roll out a step at a time. And there's a lot of reasons why, because here on the blockchain, you always want to make sure that there aren't any critical bugs or anything. So it's always a step at a time, like layer upon layer. And so we have lots of plans for these items to be like used for crafting and for a few other things I probably shouldn't say yet because we haven't announced them yet. I always have sort of a bad habit of announcing things before they're actually announced. So I will say that we are very aware and like careful about having a supply and an actual use for everything there too. So you will see that stay in balance in the future. As far as the expansion goes, trying to remember what the question was now. It was new professions, I think. I can't comment on that either. But yeah, I mean, it'll have all kinds of new things there. And from the standpoint of like quests and things, you'll have some like specific quests that you'll have to go across chains to basically have the whole arc of that quest get done. So you might start a quest over here in Harmony, and then it'll have other steps. You have to actually travel to the other land to like have sort of like that next step there as well. And then you'll have like items that can only be created from stuff that you would find in all of those lands. So, yep. Hopefully that answers your stuff there.
Awesome. I'm gonna grab somebody else. Thank you, Lobster Persona. Let's see. Hello.
Hey, so question about the snapshots for crystal airdrops. You mentioned on the Avalanche AMA there's going to be a few different ways. I know historically it's been X jewel holders. It sounds like there's going to be multiple roads you could take to possibly getting an airdrop. Will we get kind of a detailed play-by-play on that, or will it be a, hey, we took a snapshot yesterday, if you held jewel, you're good to go?
Yeah, so we have some exciting things in store for upcoming airdrops for this. There's a lot of really cool new things we can do with this expansion to like reward our existing players. And so we will be announcing specifics of those more, but in the short term, when we launched on Harmony, we pre-minted like X amount of jewels to like use to basically have it as sort of like our team and for the funding of it and all that type of stuff. In our place that we're at right now, we don't really need additional funding to expand. So our approach there is actually to pre-mint some of these and use it to actually like reward our existing players in airdrops and things like that as well. So you'll see some of that come into play to like reward all of the existing holders. And then also in terms of the other chain, over there, if you head over into like Pangolin or something and say, hey, I'd like to buy some jewels, you don't really have any way to earn rewards on those yet. Although I actually might have misspoken because I think that they're actually adding an incentivized pool over there on Pangolin for us as well. So you could stick it there, but you could actually. Our plan is to actually have like a snapshot there as well and say all of the holders of our bridged jewel over there can also be entered into the snapshot as well. So there's a few ways to earn from this, and we'll announce all of the specifics of those as they start to come up.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's go through here. It's going from the top of the list. Hopefully it seems like every other one works. Hello.
Do you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I have a question. I'm a Gen 0 holder, and I just want to know, does it have any benefits to have the OG Gen 0? And what is going to happen with the cross-chain Gen 0s?
Yeah, there's always all kinds of benefits for the OG holders that we have in store. Uh, you'll see. W- I've internally proposed some snapshots and like airdrops that are specifically targeted towards those. I can't really give specifics on those yet because we're still trying to work those out. But then as far as actual like utility goes, you can actually like bring those into the other chains and start to summon there and start to add heroes into the NFT marketplaces there. You can also combine with other ones from these other chains and create stuff there too. So like we're adding 2 new classes, and it will also entail some new like advanced classes as well that will be stuff that you'll have to find. So yep, there will be things.
Okay, perfect.
This is my first time trying to orchestrate like this system, so thanks everybody for your patience with me. Hello, Husky.
Hi, I feel so special for being picked. This might be a little bit of an outdated question, so I apologize, but I just sort of, I'm really excited about what you guys are doing, and I'm really proud of DeFi Kingdoms. I'm just wondering, like, what are the biggest things I can do to prepare for this launch into Avax? It sounds like I need to be staking Jewel and things like that. Is there going to be guides coming out for this as well?
Yeah, I would say you and probably most of the people here are in a pretty good spot to stand to like win from this expansion. Having Jewel will enable you to basically stake those on this expansion and earn some of those other tokens there. Having it here in our bank in the short term, and also in like the medium term, will qualify you for some of these exciting new snapshots as well to earn some of these new things there. So I would say if it were me, and I was trying to stay in sort of the best spot for this, I would probably be staking in our bank here, and also probably like watch out for arbitrage opportunities as well, because there's a lot of extra like liquidity over on these other chains, orders of magnitude higher than here, and so there could be a lot of increased pressure there for buying Jewel. And you might see some like arbitrage opportunities there as well. And if you do have those jewels get like bridged over, you can also be eligible to enter into some of those snapshots over there because you would be holding those on that chain. So there's probably a few ways. If you're just here to like play the game and earn, I mean, probably just stick with what you're doing. There's not really anything else you need to be doing to actually earn all these new like rewards from this expansion.
All right, I'm still working through my list here. I did see 3 really good questions that I've saved to the side for last. If nobody happens to ask them, I will. The next person. Hello. We can't hear you.
You sound kind of like an otter, and you look kind of like an otter.
Confirmed otter.
I actually really love otters. They're my spirit animal. Like they're so awesome.
Oh, you should have been a frisky otter. Odd otter? I don't.
Yeah, but then
I
everyone
don't
knows
Hello.
who I am. Oh, there he is. Hey, we can hear you.
know.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what do you think of having, when you're launching new updates like this Avalanche launch, what do you think of having them being accompanied by like event quests? So let's say for this Avalanche launch, you could, let's say, have an exploration event. So there's new lands to explore, and people can like do quests to explore and get let's say boosted rewards for the duration of the event.
Hubert would like to have like words with you because you've been spying on him and his plans, apparently. Because yeah, that's like right up the alley of what we're thinking. We have all kinds of really cool things planned for um uh sort of like having like expeditions into this like new land where you can send heroes and have them sort of have exclusive access to, or like early access into like some of these new lands for existing holders of heroes that are like willing to take that step into that like sort of like a brave new world, you could say. and there could be some risks there, in-game risks, as to like heroes could become exhausted or other things as well. So he has some really cool plans there, and we're excited to have those start to be announced in probably like the coming weeks and like months as well.
I'm also
Yeah,
just
yeah.
really quickly, I'm also really excited about this because we still have a lot of planning to do. But just the thought of, hey, I've got something special in my inventory. There's an optional adventure quest for me to explore another chain somewhere. It just kind of that sense of adventure where it's a mystery. I don't know quite what's going to happen, but it's special, right? And I love that thought that maybe there's people on Avalanche who might find something cool that is only useful here on Harmony in Serendale. So being able to start and end quests and having those tokens and assets that can be bridged over to maybe unlock some things is a really exciting feature, I think, that I'm looking forward to.
Another thing, when you mentioned that you can stake a jewel for crystals, you could also do like frame it in a way that you're funding the new expedition and funds are being gathered, and then you can stake jewel in order to own crystals.
Yep. That's exactly what we're thinking too. There's all kinds of ways there we can have interplay, sort of like across all of our realms there to help them all sort of like stay in sync and have them all kind of rise as like one, I would say. So
Great,
Awesome.
thank you.
thanks.
Blackstray snuck in a second question there. Oh, it looks like
And look,
Sinstar
there's
joined us.
Sinstar. A wild Sinstar has appeared.
Howdy.
Howdy.
We all having a
All
good
right.
day?
Yeah, we're just going through. We've got speakers asking questions.
Nice.
Ask all the hard questions of us because we're super excited, and all of this expansion stuff here is really like for all of us here as a community. So, I mean, everyone should be happy about this, I think. So, ask all the questions you have, please.
Ooh, fair.
Hi guys, how are you? Um,
How's
Good.
it going?
I had a question about how do you envision the mechanics and interaction with the blockchain? For example, questing as the transactions in Avalanche are like orders of magnitude more expensive than in Harmony. I don't know if you're considering that, adjusting something there, or is it gonna be the same?
Yeah, so all these chains we're looking at have relatively like low fees, but as you said, Harmony is probably like the lowest of all these other chains. So, you know, our current game is on chain, which means we have a lot of our logic and things that are actually running in smart contracts on the blockchain, and it can be expensive for some of those transactions. So I think there's a few things that we're doing, and I'm actually starting to look at, you know, sort of like the possibility of doing like roll ups and stuff like that to try to save on some of those fees for gas. And then also like you'll see some players that are just like, hey, it's like less expensive to play this game here on this realm, so maybe I'll bring my assets over to that realm for a while and quest there. And you'll see kind of I would say sort of like a competition across all these like platforms out there to see who could create the best platform for these like new style of like on-chain games that we'll start to see over the next few years. Like it's a huge like wave that's coming. So we have some strategies in place that will help with that, and it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Awesome. Next person I'm gonna invite is JC. Are you there?
Okay, so I got two questions. The first one, I was a bit worried about fees to transfer to AVAX, you know, and Frisky, you mentioned maybe internal cost chain, and I want to know more about that. And the second is about Crystal. I'd like to know if everybody will get some crystal if you get jewels, or will there be some steps? I mean, like 50x jewels, 500, 1000.
Yeah. So first of all, I guess with your first question, in-game stuff there with our docks and in-game bridges. So our plan is to basically create our own in-house mechanisms to have your like assets get carried over onto the other chains. And there's a few like reasons why we're doing that. One of them is, I've been asked, how come you can't just use like Harmony's bridge or other existing bridges that are out there? And we could try to work with them and see if we could have them add things to our specs. And actually, we've spoken with Harmony about trying to have that get done as well. So that could be a possibility. However, having us have the ability to bridge heroes specifically into these other chains and have them be sort of like more than just a like wrapped NFT that can't do anything. It has to actually have the ability to earn XP and to skill up and to have all the stuff over there get done with questing and stuff too. So that's why internally, like we'd have to create a very customized like bridge that can actually have them get carried over into a contract that we actually own, and then have that still have the same utility on those other chains. And then the other aspect there is also, as you said, with the fees. Like we just want to keep those really low for our players, so that it's not really a big thing for them to move from one like realm into another realm. And it has some like limitations there as far as like the fees for gas goes, but just like trying to have the like overhead there stay as small as possible. And then the other question, what was it now?
It was about the yeah.
So I will be announcing more specifics. However, I can say I think I'm safe to say that like my plan is to basically be anyone who owns at least some like X jewels will get at least some of like this new token over there as well. And it's tricky to have that work out because of like having to have like tracking and then also like for gas. But if you hold like 2 X jewels, you could potentially get some smaller amount probably over there in Crystal. It'll just be split across all of the holders of X jewels. Is like my plan for those.
Oh, interesting. All right. Got one more person. I don't know how much time we had today, if we were going to go for maybe a couple more questions here.
I would just, before we start, I see there's a lot of people who want to ask questions. We will be providing some documentation, and I think it might be beneficial to maybe kind of go into this a little bit more in another AMA later. So I love answering questions. I think it would be beneficial to make sure everyone gets a chance to be heard at some point.
Awesome.
Yep.
Hello, Sandra
Hello.
Hat. Hi.
Hi. Awesome work, everybody. I'm very passionate about the game, been since the early days. So, and great launch on Avalanche Network. Wish you the best for that. So, it's a set of questions that I have that are interrelated, and they have to do with the cost of summoning heroes. As the price of jewel spikes up right now, even with Gen Zeros, the minimum cost of summoning a hero costs nearly $500. The later generations could be 4 figures. So the question is, do you plan on somehow addressing this? And if you have, further expanding on that, if you have policies or politics around how you're going to manage the flow of new heroes coming out and controlling it, either through restricting tiers or that the intention is to have the high price so they become more sparse. So, what's the general policy around how many heroes can come to be?
Yeah, excellent questions. I always get asked all the time, like, what are your plans to ensure that it's not too expensive for heroes? And then usually in the same breath, I get asked, how do you ensure that heroes can stay like expensive and like hold their value? So to a certain extent, we aren't really trying to target a specific price point. Instead, what we're trying to do is make sure that there's always ROI there with heroes stays up there in the positives, basically. So if you're creating heroes, you can actually earn from them instead of losing money from them. And also, like with that said, when you summon heroes, it's also kind of a risk because you don't really know exactly like what you're going to get back. And probably, I mean, if you summon and you get a common who just isn't super good with their stats, you might actually lose money on that summon, and that's kind of like one of the risks you take. So like you might see the floor price of the heroes will hopefully stay low enough that anyone who would like to get into our game can still afford one of those. And then as a summoner of heroes, you could get really lucky and get like legendaries or advanced classes or things like that and earn a lot of extra money on top of that too. So in the end, you know, like the market will kind of create its own balance. And from our standpoint, like we're not trying to control or trying to force that. It should just basically come just like really naturally off of the ROI that's out there in our game. And then another thing that we're seriously starting to work on is a scholarship thing too, so that you could have some of like the lower income individuals from these other countries could still hop on and also earn from those as well. Sandwich Punch, good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me on. So, and I'm sure you guys will get like way into details on this, but given how valuable Gen Zero heroes have become, and the fact that you'll be minting some new ones on these expansion chains, are there plans to, I guess, launch it differently, where like either you'll have to be whitelisted or because I'm assuming if we have 500 Gen Zeros minted, and you go to AVAX, and there's going to be 4 to 5x the players that it'll be a race to click. So are there any plans to change that?
Excellent question. We have spent some time internally also kind of trying to brainstorm the best way to do that because as you said, like the floor price of these heroes is very high, and we started out here on like Harmony selling them for like 1 to 2,000 jewels, which at the time was also high, right? But anyone who at that time was able to scoop one up is really happy about it now. And so you'll see as like we launch onto these other chains, you'll have all these existing players that are like, ooh, some new Gen Zeros, I want to get my hands on those. And then all of these other players that are new are like, hey, I'd like to get some too, So there's only going to be a very limited amount, and trying to figure out what is the best way to execute that is very important. So we have a lot of ideas. It will be pretty different than our existing one that we had over here on Harmony, just because of all of the additional, I guess everybody wants one. So like we have to make sure that it's as fair as possible, and that everybody has a chance. And so we're probably going to take a few different approaches that we'll use kind of in concert there to ensure that everyone can have a chance at them, and also anyone who has like just like a lot of money to throw around can also have an opportunity to also have one. So what we don't want is we don't want it to be a thing where just like a few like really lucky people sort of like win a lottery and they are able to buy it for like $1,000 and then immediately turn around and sell it for like $60,000. Like we're trying to create the fairest way for this to work. So we will have some extra information about that as it starts to come, but for now, just stay tuned on that.
Thanks. Great job, guys, on everything too.
Thank you. So Spicy, I don't know if you're talking, but you're muted. But
Oh my God. See, I told you this happens all the time, folks. I sent an invite I saw Ogre was chilling in the requests. So I sent him an invite, but it doesn't look like it's gone through yet. So,
there he is. There he is. Hey, Ogre.
Oh, hi, Ogre.
But you are muted, Ogre. So, FYI.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, for some reason it wouldn't let me unmute. It said there was some permissions issue. So thanks for dropping me and bringing me back in, Spicy.
You got it.
Honestly, my questions have already been answered just listening to the broadcast. So I'll just say thank you guys. You're doing some amazing stuff. I love where this game is going, and I'm really excited for the future. So just thank you guys for the incredible stuff the team is doing, and I look forward to the future.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Really happy to have you,
Thanks,
Ogre.
Ogre.
You're always a huge, supporter of us, and really appreciate having you here.
Thanks, Ogre. let's see. I was going through. I think we have time for like maybe one more person to hop on and speak. I'm just being random here. And I will say I'm getting a lot of DMs and pings and tags. I promise I will look at everyone's questions and try and feed them into like we'll record it and have some sort of like FAQ or questions answered kind of sheet ready for you guys soon. So just hang tight for that. Hi, North Paw.
Hey, how's it going? You mentioned some arbitrage opportunities between Crystal and Jewel. Is that just going to be purely through selling cost and vendor costs, or is there another mechanism that you're thinking of?
Yeah, so actually the arbitrage I was saying was from Jewel and Jewel on these chains, but you are right, there is arbitrage from all these existing power tokens that are out there as well, because essentially on these other realms, you'll be able to do some of the same things you can do across all these other realms with their in-game native power token over there. So, for example, if on Avalanche, let's say, you can create heroes there, and it costs crystal, and the price of crystal is maybe 2 times of like Jewel, perhaps, then you'll have a lot of those players will say, "Hey, I'm going to actually try to get some Jewel and use that instead." And so it will increase the pressure there for Jewel, which will kind of like pull it up to be sort of create like equilibrium, I would say. So our plan is to actually have some like uses for all of our tokens on all of our like realms. So you'll actually have the ability to use jewels over there as well. And so it will basically help to sort of incentivize that sort of like the prices of those will stay somewhat in sync, and that if the pressure for one increases, it will actually help all of them at the same time. And so as far as arbitrage goes there, I mean, if you see there's a lot of increased like use for a certain token on a specific chain, then you could have that get like bridged over and arbitrage that there.
Just I'd add as well, it's going to extend to heroes, because if you think about taverns in the different realms, they're probably not going to all have the same hero floors and the same prices, right? They're separate markets. So if you're looking over there and you see, oh, I could buy this hero at this price and move it over there, and the floor price is higher or different, that might be interesting as well. So the balancing mechanic of the power tokens after the seed phase is mentioned. Like there's obviously going to be a lot of incremental buy pressure on Jewel to stake Crystal if there are additional participants wanting to do that. All else equal, and then long term the balancing mechanic to summon on each. So you're probably gonna choose the token that is cheaper to do the same action, right? So that'll balance that out, but also the marketplaces and the actual buying, selling, and renting of heroes will be interesting to watch.
True. I briefly saw.
Working.
Yeah, we're
Where did
working.
working go?
He popped in and left.
One of our favorite nights.
Yeah, he does really good work.
He does. So we're probably almost out of time, and I do apologize. I see there's still like 33 people here in line to speak. I just want to say that we've spent so much time planning and like running simulations and trying to figure out the best expansion strategy, and I'm really excited about this one. I think it is like really like the right move for us as a community, and expanding onto these other chains and like acquiring these new players and basically having the advantage there of really like the first on-chain game to expand it into these other places is like huge. So I'm really excited about the future and all the opportunities this will have to increase the quality of our game and add extra like opportunities for lore and for like in-game questing and all that type of stuff as well. So really excited for this, and I just I guess like want to say thank you to all of you guys for coming. And I guess Professor Sinstar, Spicy, Dreamer, is there anything else you guys wanted to say at the end?
I just wanted to reiterate how, appreciative we are of everybody. We love this community and this game. And I love this project. I've been looking at, this is the first project I've been on where we've actually got, our marketing and business development teams have been brought up to spend the time necessary to make these kinds of decisions without affecting the development and the actual timeline of what we're trying to do, rather than a business or a development team that's trying to chew on too many things all at once and using their marketing funds just to try to hire some celebrity. There's so many things that go on in this space that I am very proud of what we've built up and the professionalism behind this team, and each of the independent departments that we've got that are doing their job tremendously well. So it's super excited. Our development team is growing. We're able to support, where we're trying to go with Harmony and this greater vision of just all of the exciting things that we've always wanted to do. And I'm hoping everybody on this call is excited about kind of that vision of the future too, because too many times we dream about what we can do and then we just never do it. And this is a team that's actually doing it, and I love every minute of it. So super happy to be here, super happy for this community, and love it. Thank you.
Yeah, so Professor Tango's voice hypnotized me again. I'm trying to think about what I was thinking about. Basically, what I feel about this project is there's opportunities that pop up every month with DeFi Kingdoms, and you don't always get that with crypto projects. And I think there's always something here for existing holders and investors and players. But also, there's something coming around the corner for everyone who wants to jump in as well. And it seems like we have something every month where there is something coming up to get excited about, and we get excited about it too. And for what's coming up, it's been a lot of work and building and growth. It has been a lot of hard work. This next step for us is big, and we've had to expand. So that's always a challenge, but one that we've taken on and owned. So we're doing what we can to just make sure we're making all the right moves with all this, and we're just really grateful for everybody's involvement and support in this project. And we'll try not to let you guys down.
I will just say, having had a sneak peek at some of the art and creative stuff that's coming out of Sinstar and his team, I'm super excited for not only what we've got coming up with lands and everything else, but with Crystalvale and our expansions. I mean, they're doing an amazing job. So
Definitely. I'm super excited about the new art, the new classes, all the new like zones, and it's gonna look really awesome. Tango and Sinsar pretty much share the same sentiment as me. They stole all the things I was gonna say. But I will say I was just in Decentral Miami, and I actually met a lot of community members that attended as well. And then we even had a lot of people come up to the booth and say, am I, too late to join in? The answer with this is no, you are not. There's so many more exciting things around the corner. And yeah, pretty much everything Tango and Sinstar said, I feel the same way. Dreamer, you got
Yeah, so
anything?
I'm actually yeah. So I mean I agree. The last 2 days at Decentral support that we got, both from people that know of us, know about us, or in the game, it was incredible. Like we had like stacks on stacks of people trying to talk to 7, of our team there, plus more, and we just couldn't even get to everybody quick enough. From like a biz dev perspective, I have a stack of business cards of top chains, top projects, and ways to innovate the space. Like there were so many people that sat there and they're like, "Hey, so you're a Dex? Oh yeah. Oh, so you're not a game? No, we're a game. Oh, so you're not a Dex? No, we're a Dex. Oh, but you have NFTs? Yeah, we have NFTs. Wait, what's questing? Is that a different thing? No, it's all one." And people's like their minds were blowing up. They were walking around. There are all these booths of people overhyping stuff, and then they come to us, and it's like underhype. Like we are building things as fast as we can, and everybody that comes in, they're just like, "Holy cow! Like, do you realize what is here?" So I really like what Fox said when he said, You know, we've done great on Harmony. We're going to continue to do great on Harmony. There's no reason for us to stop there. Like in the words of Conor McGregor, we're not here to take part. We're here to take over. We should all be very excited about this. The tokenomics are sound. Our community, other communities are excited. Partners that are in this space that want to get involved are excited. We should all be looking to hold Jewel, be continuing to play and quest, to be out there to summon those rare heroes, because the future is really bright. So I'll just say thank you to everybody, and I am just echoing the excitement and the gratitude.
Awesome. I guess I'll have a little bit of a closing statement again, but just really huge shout out to all of our team. They've been amazing this week, with 7 of us over in Miami. Really impressed by all of the amazing outreach we've had there. With Sinstar on the creative side, all of the things that they're working on for our existing stuff over here on Harmony and for the expansion as well. There's so many amazing things that are just blowing my mind. Professor Tango, it was, I guess, Monday that we launched the Professions Quest into production, and then 2 days later we had this other huge launch of our shop and all these other little features with a tutorial and all these amazing things. I don't know how they do it. They're basically just all stars over there, and so I think we have really a amazing team here, and it's really something special. Excited about the future, and I just wanted to thank all you guys for coming, and I'll try to answer all of my endless amounts of stuff I'm asked over here. I have 20 DMs I got to get to, so I'll see you guys there. Anyways, thanks everyone for coming, and stay playing. See you guys.
Have a good day, guys.
New motto.
Stay playing.
Stay frosty.
So
Stay frisky.
frisky.
Stay frisky. See you guys.
See you guys.
Oh, then I can say stay spicy.
I like that one.
Okay.
Stay tango, everyone.
Stay necro.
That one doesn't make sense.
All right.
Oh, he left. I couldn't even. All right, bye, y'all.
Later.